George Floyd Square serves as a space to heal and reflect.
It's really been a long time coming.
It's the place where Floyd took his last breath. And today, there's a new sense of peace as mourners bring flowers to honor his life.
I'm going to leave them here in memory of George Floyd.
I was talking to my brother yesterday.
Edward Anthony Ferris grew up in this neighborhood. Floyd was a friend.
Thank you, Jesus!
He says the verdict was a long time coming.
It hit me. It said guilty. Relief, Relief hit me.
He believes justice was served, but he often thinks about his friend and the loss.
First of all, I miss you. We miss you. We love you, man. I wish that it didn't have to be this way. Maybe this had to happen for a reason. It had to happen for a reason, and the reason may be for change.
Say his name!
Dante Wright!
Say his name!
A powerful moment as the family of George Floyd stands in solidarity with the family of Dante Wright.
The world is traumatized watching another African-American man being enslaved.
Wright was killed by a Brooklyn Center veteran police officer during a traffic stop Sunday afternoon.
10 miles from where the Chauvin trial regarding George Floyd was taking place, that a police officer would shoot and kill another unarmed black man.
Wright's mother recalls the last phone call with her son and his girlfriend inside the car.
She pointed the phone towards the driver's seat and my son was laying there, unresponsive.
My Lord.
That was the last time that I seen my son.
The mother of Wright's 2-year-old son shared her memories and her pain.
Now, my son, he don't have a dad. His dad didn't get to see him for his 2nd birthday.
The 4th of July, that's our favorite holiday together. We like to shoot Roman candles at each other. We're not gonna be able to do that no more. I love you, Dante.
A family now demanding justice.
They murdered my nephew. She killed my nephew. I don't care what nobody got to say about him. He was loved.
Yes.
He was ours.
There we go. That's a good sign.
For Zach Moore, a senior at South High School, this banner that reads justice for George Floyd means so much more.
During the uprising last year, and that we wanted to, get more students involved in the protests and, demanding justice.
Moore is a part of the group called Student Movement Activists at South High after witnessing the aftermath of George Floyd's death here in Minneapolis. And now the start of Derek Chauvin's trial. He's using his voice to spark change.
Build the movement for students to fight for their needs and their demands.
I'm a little nervous and I'm a little excited.
Like Moore, Liam Saul stood on top of the pedestrian bridge overlooking Hiawatha Avenue,
This is my community. I live just a couple of blocks from here.
playing a song on his ukulele, letting all those who pass by take in this message,
We want justice for George.
open to different perspectives.
That's a very powerful tool, is the ability to listen and to hear.
Moore is planning to keep the momentum going
Even if just on our own.
long after this trial ends.
Walk all the way down and stop here.
For 81-year-old Marvin Anderson, the well-known and well-loved keeper of history in St. Paul's Rondo neighborhood,
This is the nation's first memorial park dedicated to a community that was destroyed by freeway construction.
one form of justice comes by reuniting a once thriving, predominantly black community destroyed by highway construction in the late 1950s and early 60s. Right through Rondo Avenue, described by Anderson as the community's heart.
When we looked out of our homes that were still standing, and you lost all of these touch points.
I like to say Rondo was an organism.
As Anderson looks toward a land bridge project that will reconnect the Rondo community he's always known and loved. He says justice comes in many forms when you look beyond the pavement to right the wrongs from the past.
George Floyd and all of these African American men whose lives had been taken to me, have shined a collective light on the basements of America. That's where the mold is. That's where the foundation is sinking. But you have to be able to see that in order to make the changes.
I can't breathe. No justice, no peace.
Pieces of artwork cover plywood boards posted on vacant building windows and boarded up shops.
Where can they express that grief, you know? Where can they talk about what's happening?
Lisa Kelly with Memorialize the Movement didn't want these murals posted after George Floyd's death to just disappear.
This one looks a little bit more recent, and it's a message of grief. Right over here, you can tell that something is faded out.
The group created an idea to save these plywood murals by turning a moment in time into the preservation of a movement.
Time to remember, I guess. And
this is who our city is and what our city is, and this art should be preserved,
not be forgotten.
Organizers go around from board to board, asking for permission to take down the murals to preserve for this project. The group is now fundraising for a climate-controlled storage room and supplies to store the artwork.
To tell the story of what happened here.
Kelly says the art depicting the perfect piece.
We see you, we hear you.
Centers around the message portrayed.
So someone wrote this and someone else responded to it. That's really incredible.
Allowing a place for a community to grieve.
I'm sad, but I also have this feeling that we're moving.
To heal and to reflect on this moment in history.
The four kids are just like looking at each other.
Every child remembers their first monster, the thing that once kept them up at night.
I like how each monster describes something that a teenager struggles in life. Us teenagers facing our daily, difficulties and issues that we have.
For Braylon Williams.
This one, I think, is trauma. Situations that I have been through in the past.
And Jose Rosas, these monsters look a little different.
My life was full of violence and too much fear in me. So I made a monster that's sharp, on fire, who's angry all the time. And just being honest, making this monster reminds me of what I'm scared of, which is my father who I grew up with.
This is violence.
It's not easy to confront a monster, but through art, it's an outlet for those sometimes hard to express emotions.
And this is trauma down here.
Every April, the Family Enhancement Center hosts an annual fundraising campaign in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month. On April 23rd, they're showcasing this art at the Modus Locus Gallery in Minneapolis, the first teen exhibition.
So the event is just a wonderful collaboration with Modus Locus Gallery and Family Enhancement Center to allow youth that are in two of our group programs, Drumbeat and Healing Motion, give them an opportunity so that they can show their healing journey in kind of a visual format.
At least 1 in 7 children have experienced child abuse or neglect in the past year in the United States. While many cases go unreported, the CDC says in 2020, just under 2,000 children died of abuse and neglect. While the pandemic affected everyone in different ways, teens in the program decided to use art as a way to heal.
So it's really a group where young people can talk about how they feel, process through difficulties they've been experiencing.
I think being able to have creative arts means of expressing, of coping, of actually seeing yourself externalized when maybe you have a lot of really hard stuff going on inside.
The theme of it is Stranger Things. But it's more of the mind of a teenager.
Braylon and Jose say they no longer fear those monsters and reminders of the past.
Making this art really healed me.
They're overcoming adversity, confronting it head on, one painting at a time.
When I personally come to drum beats, it's we have something to focus on, and it's something that got us to where we're at now.
Kelsey Swab never imagined she'd be sitting here, hundreds of miles away from her home. Her 2-year-old daughter, Baylin, fighting for her life.
Baylin had what we had thought was an allergic reaction, so we had taken her into the doctor and they had given her some epinephrine. And that was kind of the start of everything, so obviously we're kind of concerned about how she reacted.
After repeated visits to the doctor in South Dakota, Kelsey found out something was wrong with her daughter's liver.
What we had found out from there is that her doctor had sent everything up here to be reviewed, and a few hours later we got the call saying that she needed to be here as soon as possible.
Since then, Kelsey and her family have spent days at the hospital waiting for answers.
And it's you sit here and think there's 100 cases, why my kid?
Kelsey's 2-year-old daughter is one of 2 documented cases at mHealth Fairview of unexplained severe hepatitis in children. Symptoms include fatigue, fever, and loss of appetite, something Kelsey noticed in her daughter.
Darkening of the urine, it's like very, very dark yellow. The poop almost looks white. And
grayish clay color.
Dr. Haley Batt with mHealth Fairview says it's unusual to see this disease in healthy children.
Checking for liver disease is a simple blood test, which is cheap, has fast turnaround, should not be very complicated.
Balin's family says they're now awaiting treatments, including the option of a liver transplant.
She is on the list. What we are understanding that is if one would become available today, they would take it.
Kelsey is looking to her loved ones.
It's been a little bit difficult because we have a 4-year-old daughter at home too, and my husband's a farmer, so just getting up and leaving was a little bit difficult.
Praying her daughter can continue her fight.
Last few months we've really looked to faith.
On the road to recovery ahead. For Deborah Watts, it's been 66 years of waiting.
We just can't allow Emmett's death to be in vain.
On Monday, a federal investigation that re-examined the murder of Emmett Till said the U.S. Department of Justice failed to find proof that a key figure in the case lied. The investigation was done as part of its Cold Case Initiative, an effort to identify and investigate racially motivated murders committed decades ago.
When they announced that they closed the investigation, of course, I was gravely disappointed in that and frankly shocked.
The DOJ noted Till's death is still one of the most infamous acts of racial violence in the country's history. Till, a 14-year-old black teenager from Chicago, was brutally beaten and shot in the head in 1955 after a white woman said he whistled at her and touched her at a Mississippi store. While Watts says the DOJ announcement came as a shock, she's pushing forward.
With Mamie Till Mobley's hope, Emmett's life, which was vibrant at the time, and with Simeon Wright's hope for justice as well. So we've got our ancestors and my other relatives that have gone before us that are rooting for us to make this happen.
In the end, continuing her family's fight for justice.
We don't think this is over, and we don't rest with the resolution that the Department of Justice has announced. And so we are still holding out hope.